Thank you for tuning in with Free Game with Lana Hampton, and I'm your host, Lana Hampton. This is a show that we can have candid conversations with previously incarcerated individuals to discuss their journey to imprisonment, experiences with the legal system, and learn how together we can reform the prison system and also prevent repeat offenses and assist individuals with re-entering society. When we come back, we'll be joined with the guest, Shontel Greene. Stay tuned.
In the heart of Atlanta, where secrets simmer and tensions rise, comes a reality TV show like no other. Old conflicts continue.
So this is where the whole issue started.
Fuck you! She know I don't fuck with her.
Expect the unexpected.
In our industry, anything could happen.
He what?
Canceled last minute, and his publicist called and was just like, I'm so sorry.
The event is literally tomorrow. What are we gonna do? I gotta figure out something fast.
It's time to take this to a new level.
It's always some type of foolishness going on.
I told you, babe, we gotta do shit that makes sense.
If your shit go right, then I can frame your company up and then bring in collaborations.
When it comes to the team, let me manage that.
Too much energy.
I don't care.
Business and pleasure sometimes doesn't always mix.
What's up with your love life?
I'm single and ready to mingle, baby.
They doing the shucky ducky like you doing the shucky ducky, and y'all mix the business with pleasure.
He's the one who put in all my life.
That man married, cause that's your little boyfriend.
He has more things going on than he is supposed to.
Like a wife?
Yes.
But in the end, it's all about business.
Don't come here to do me any favors.
This your thing, is your rule. That's it.
Welcome. Today's guest, we have Shontel Greene. You know what, Shontel? I am not going to get into what your backstory is. I'm going to let you tell it. So your childhood, becoming a drug dealer. Can you share what your childhood was like growing up in Baltimore?
So basically, in the early stages of my childhood, I had a great childhood. And then, of course, crack and heroin kind of invaded my city. My mother was a victim of the heroin epidemic, and she became a drug addict, as well as my father. So I'm going to say I had a great life up until the age of 14. When I was 14, all hell broke loose.
14?
14.
14?
14.
Well, I could definitely relate to some stories with 14. However, what was going through your mind at 14? Most people, they're trying to be a kid. What was going through your mind? Survival.
Just straight survival. I just remember coming home and we had an eviction notice on the door. I didn't even know what eviction notice was because my mother was a registered nurse, believe it or not. So I had a good life, and I read this notice and I called. I called because I wanted to see, they're saying they're putting us out in a week. What does this mean? So I called, and the landlord, I never forget, he was a trashy piece of, and he was basically like, my mother hadn't paid for 8 months. He had gave her several chances, and if basically by Friday, the following Friday, if we didn't have the money, that we would be evicted.
Okay, so that kind of just launched you right on into drug dealing. Like, where was you introduced to that? Like, where did you get your drugs from? How does this, connect? I know the need for survival, but let me understand, how'd you get involved?
So my family, I had a drug family. Like my uncles, I know you're familiar with The Wire. My uncle is one of the real characters. Okay. So I was familiar with the drug trade. I just never knew that I would be a part of it. And I was kind of really embarrassed about my mother's addiction. So I kind of hid it. So I basically asked my uncle to give me some work.
At 14?
14.
Man. So how did you balance still being a kid, running a multi-million-dollar drug business, and excelling academically in school? How did you do that?
Oh, the childhood stopped. The childhood stopped immediately. Once I got into the game, it was no more childhood. It was basically my grandmother. She was my world. You know how grandmothers is. You can't even speak it.
Yes.
So it was just My biggest fear, I don't think, was the set out. Mm-hmm. I don't think my biggest fear was the police. I don't think my biggest fear was incarceration. My biggest fear was hurting this lady's feelings.
Wow.
Breaking my grandmother's heart. That was my biggest fear.
So everything else was kind of like secondary.
Didn't care. I didn't want my grandmother to know about my mother's drug addiction.
And you don't think that she knew? And it was just something that you created in your mind so you could get into the fast life?
Honestly, she didn't know for a long time, but eventually it came out.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's get into the part of you navigating through life, you're a teenage girl. What was the first time you had your run-in with the law? When were you incarcerated? At what point? What age?
So when I was young, I would get arrested all the time, even before the age of 18. But that was just like, call your mother, come get you from the police station. Yes. So when I was young, I got arrested a lot, all the time. But it was just my mother come and get me. The juvenile system, is so misconstrued. It's like you get in trouble, you come home, and you might go to court, you might get a little probation. Yeah. So I went through that phase.
So did you think in your mind, like when you commit the bigger crimes, that you were probably going to get a slap on the wrist because of the juvenile system?
Actually, I did. I did. You're right.
Well, I appreciate you being honest, because most people won't accept that portion. So when was the first time that you got indicted? What age?
I was 21. I was 21, and the crazy part, my whole childhood, teenagehood, I was a drug dealer. I got indicted on a bank robbery.
Oh no!
So I actually went to jail for something I did. You know how girls be in jail. I didn't do it. I really didn't do it. I really didn't do it. But
so is there someone that, or because, and I say this for the young ladies like myself,
right?
Was there someone driving you other than yourself? I know the need to survive, but normally it's like a man is influencing you, or it's someone that's pulling the strings.
I'm gonna be honest, and I think a man never navigated my life, honestly. Mm-hmm. I think it was the addiction to the money. Mm-hmm. That's what navigated me. When you're seeing that kind of money, it's like it becomes an addiction. Like, people treat you got a God-like complex. Mm-hmm. When you walk in rooms, people treat you a different way when you're trying to get in a club.
Yes.
You know how it is. So
yes.
I think that lifestyle gave me the rush.
Well, I mean, a lot of girls get caught up in that, and I just find that the ages, maybe like 10 to maybe like 24 is where it's most prevalent, where, we like the fast life, we like money, we like nice things, and sometimes we're influenced by other people. So to know that you acted basically alone because you was just moving and shaking. So what were you charged with?
Bank robbery.
Just bank robbery.
Straight bank
robbery.
So
you never went to jail for dealing drugs?
I was arrested for a lot of things dealing with drugs. Now, did I get found not guilty? Most of the time.
Oh,
yes.
My.
Did I get probation? Mm-hmm. Yes. But I got in trouble for that bank robbery because it was like...
How much time did you get?
Wow, this is the great part. This is the great part. No, this is the great part. One thing about me, I always hang around older people. I never hang around people my age. So the older, the wiser.
Yeah.
So I had a driver that would drive me around, and he knew what I was doing because I would count money and stuff in his car. So what he told me is, if you're going to be in the street, be prepared. Retain an attorney.
Yeah.
So I had an attorney on retainer since the age of 15.
Oh my, you're smart.
Yeah. I had Brian Murphy. He was actually on my Trap Point episode. He's still my attorney to today. I don't do no wrong, but he's still my attorney. But I retained Mr. Murphy at the age of 15. And the significance of Mr. Murphy, when he was a federal prosecutor. Oh. So he indicted my family. They were the first people in Maryland convicted of illegal wiretaps. That's where you get the wire from.
Yes.
So when he became a regular attorney, he became my lawyer. I retained him. So he
That
had
was smart.
relationships.
That was really smart. Most people, they're out here committing crimes or they're doing things, and most people don't even think about retaining an attorney. I mean, I know some homeboys right now, they out here just having their way, and it's like no one puts anything up for a rainy day. Everybody's just living and moving for the moment. So at 15, for you to have a cognizant awareness of, hey, this is what I need to do to protect myself, it speaks volumes about how your mental was at 15 years old. So I'm going to kind of progress you forward a little bit. What was your first day like in prison?
It was different because I'm used to eating what I want. It wasn't bad. It was just different, not getting what I want. I didn't have like problems with people.
Right.
It was more so, I gotta eat this shit. They die in their head with this shit. You know,
It's
like,
definitely
they die in their head with the shit I'm supposed to drink. Like, what the?
definitely an adjustment.
So it was like an adjustment.
Yes,
it was
yes.
a real big adjustment.
There was a specific moment in prison that made you decide. I mean, was there a specific moment in prison that made you say, let me change my life, let me turn my life around? And while you were in there, what were you doing so when you got out you could reacclimate yourself? Twofold
What was
question.
I doing in there?
Yes.
So the best thing about my sentencing, I was sentenced where I could go to college. Back then, they stopped it now, but back then they would allow you to go to college and go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
So I got my first degree so fast. So my sentence was like, when I finish college, I can get out.
Oh, okay.
But, girl, you know that food, that nasty juice, them stinky bitches, you know?
Oh, yes, yes.
So,
I definitely know.
nice girls and all, but, you know,
I'm not laughing about it because it's really sad.
You know.
But yes, I mean, men would never understand.
Oh my God.
But then they said the men are nasty too. So it gets to
Yeah.
how you was raised and what you're in
Yeah.
with, because people don't understand when you're incarcerated, you don't get to pick and choose who
No.
you're around. So you have people that are on drugs, dealt drugs.
Everything.
You have doctors, lawyers,
Every damn
and then
body.
you have the meth head, you know, and not to, you know, be condescending to anybody, but I'm just calling a spade a spade. So you have everybody in there. It's a melting pot. So how did you maintain your mental health when you were in there, just looking at everything and going through everything?
I focused on school. Like, I studied. I was able to bring my books in.
Okay.
So I studied, like, and I wound up getting a governor's pardon to become a nurse. So
Oh, that was nice.
I studied. I was like, well, you know what? Let me do something positive because I can't take it. But it wasn't bad. A learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
It was the food and the juice that threw me.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question, and I just want you to be totally honest, because everybody, we get to a point in our life where we have reflection. We get to a point in our life where we said, I did that shit.
Right.
So where are you now when you're thinking about everything that you've done? Was it somebody else's fault? Do you feel that you were well within the lines of survival to do what you did? Like, explain that.
I did wrong. I mean, honestly, I made bad choices. I had a choice, like, let my mother be and be a regular kid.
Yeah.
Or sell drugs and make money. I chose to sell drugs and make the money. So everything, now that I'm older and wiser, back then I would have said, oh, I ain't. But everything was my fault.